We are continuing through Romans 8, and this morning the task at hand is to check out these verses 18 to 25. These verses are obviously on heels of a greater context because the 17 verses come before them. My task this morning is to parse them out and have you understand what this text is about, and of course the beginning of understanding that is based upon the context. And if you remember last week, the discussion that Paul was having was in regards to adoption. The notion that we are no longer in slavery to fear because we have to appease God in some way, whether it's the pagan gods of the Greeks or the God of the Old Testament that has us obeying and keeping up and running on a treadmill to try and please him. No, in fact, he's not a God that's far off that we have to appease. He's a God that's near. And he's brought us right into his family so that we call him Abba, call him Father. This context is the basis of the verses that come. And if you remember from last week, the text we looked at, verses 16 and 17, the Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God and fellow heirs with Christ, provided we suffer with him, in order that we also may be glorified with him. And this whole idea of suffering, we mentioned last week, it isn't always just finding ourselves persecuted in parts of the world. Being a Christian lands you in prison. Could be your life is threatened. Of course, in the Western world, it is more subtle than that. But at any rate, we are a part of that great gathering of suffering. And this is the segue that leads him into the next subject. This whole idea of the believer having to suffer. This is part and parcel of what it means to be a follower of Christ. This is not unusual to us. This was a warning that was given to us. In fact, it's written right into the Beatitudes. Jesus himself said these words, if you're familiar with them, I'm sure. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. So they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Blessed are those who persecuted for righteousness' sake. That's an amazing concept if you think about this. This means you're actually just doing the right thing. You're actually just being honest. You're actually just standing up for what is good. You're actually just defending what is holy and righteous. You're actually just doing the right thing. And by doing the right thing, others come against you and persecute you. And that's the very call of the believer, to just live a holy life. And what happens when you stand against the darkness? They hate you for it. They persecute you. And the Church of Christ has spent for millennia the pushing against the world, and the world pushes against the church. This is the segue of which he brings us. And Paul, when he's writing this in Romans about this idea of suffering, he's no coward about it. He's not writing about something that's some distant concept to him. You remember this from 2 Corinthians 11, verse 24. 5 times, this is Paul speaking, I received at the hands of the Jews the 40 lashes less one. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and a day I was adrift at sea on frequent journeys, in dangers from rivers, dangers from robbers, danger from my own people, danger from Gentiles, danger in the city, danger in the wilderness, danger at sea, danger from false brothers, in toil and hardship through many a sleepless night, in hunger and thirst, often without food, in cold, exposure, and apart from all other things, there is the daily pressure on me of my anxiety for all the churches. Paul is just reiterating what he experienced. And the way he expresses it, this idea of Christ's people coming into the family of God, becoming adopted, and then recognizing that as part of the mark of being in that family, there's going to be suffering. He writes these words. I'll read the text to you, and then we'll spend time walking through it. I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. In this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. What is this text about? He starts with this phrase, I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory to be revealed in us. So he's talking about the body of believers that come into fellowship with God, become adopted into his family, and as a result of that, because of the likeness of Christ, he suffered, we will suffer. But the suffering that we experience, he says, I consider that it's not worth comparing. This word consider is not a word that just means, let me just give you my opinion. Let me just tell you what I think about the subject. When I think about it, this is what I believe. He's not saying that. This is a word that actually we get our English word logic from. Logizomai, it means to reason. It's translated reckon or consider. And it fundamentally means to take something into account by a logical reasoning. He has examined this. That's the idea of this word. It's not just, here's my opinion on this. It's, no, I am telling you that I've done the math, if you will. I mean, there's no math involved, but you understand my metaphor. That I've thought this through, and I've considered this, that the sufferings of our present time is not worth comparing with what's to come, with the glory to come. This word glory, this is written obviously in Koine Greek, the New Testament. The Hebrew word for glory is an interesting one. It actually, fundamentally, it means to something that has weight to it. It's heavy. And that's kind of a neat concept when you think about something that's significant. It's weighty. It's a heavy thing. And he's using that sort of idea in this phrase. He's saying, I'm considering, I've worked this out. The sufferings of this life right now, whatever they might be, your financial struggles, your physical struggles, your doctor's issues, your medical issues, your emotional, social struggles with other people, the persecution that comes on you just by doing righteous things, whatever those struggles, I've weighed them out. And let me just tell you, it's not even worth comparing them. The glory that's to come is so weighty that it breaks the scales. You're wasting your time to try and work out if this equals that. It doesn't. It trumps it by a mile, is what he's saying. I've considered that the glory that's to come far outweighs. You can't even put them on the same scale. It's enormous. That's his opening statement. And now he's going to begin to flesh out that thought in the remainder of the text. The glory that's to come is greater than all the suffering you could experience now. You say, well, my suffering is pretty bad. I've got some things. Yeah, but Paul is saying, hold on to this thought. This is nothing. When we get to glory, is what he's saying, we will say, well, that was easy. And you think it's hard now. You wait. There's coming a day when you will say, well, that was easy. That's what he's saying. And now he's going to, rest of the text, he's going to prove that thesis. I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that's to be revealed in us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. That's an interesting expression. The creation waits. Now, when was the last time you saw a tree branch with it drumming its thumbs, waiting for something to happen? What does that mean? Creation waits. He is using a poetic form that is common through the Old Testament. It is a way of personifying nature, giving nature human attributes for the sake of an illustration. This is a common thing. Psalm 98, verse 8, for example. Let the rivers clap their hands. Let the hills sing for joy together. Now, clearly, that's poetic language. You're never going to see rivers actually clapping. They don't have hands. I think you know this. What is this saying? This is just a way to express that there's joy, that as a human experience is to clap, to celebrate, to feel joy. The rivers feel this way. That's kind of the principle. Isaiah 55:12 for just another quick example. You shall go out with joy, be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills before you shall break forth into singing. The trees of the field shall clap their hands. Through the creation itself, he's personifying creation now. And he's saying that creation, just as you have this sense of longing about something and wanting something, Christmas morning is coming as an 8-year-old child and you're excited about it, he uses that idea. And he says that creation is waiting with an eager longing. Now this is an interesting verb. It's only used 2 times in the New Testament, and it actually is a compound word. You know, compound, I'm giving you more information than you ever thought you'd need. You will be quite content to never hear what I'm about to tell you, but I find it interesting, so you get to hear it too. A compound word is when 2 words are put together, you know, cupboard, a cup, board. I don't know what a cup board is, but those are 2 English words that make a different word. That's a compound word. Your English class is now over. This word has 3 words smashed together. The word away, the word for head, and the word for I think, or I'm contemplating, I'm supposing something. So, you're taking your head and you're looking away from yourself and you're thinking about something. That's sort of the idea. And it carries this idea, it implies this notion of a yearning, an anticipation, a forward-leaning posture of the whole person, mentally and emotionally stretched toward what is hoped for, waiting in suspense. That's the idea of the word. He puts the idea that creation is sitting on the end of its seat, and its head is leaning forward, and it's just waiting. Any minute now, it's staring into the horizon. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's waiting with such anticipation, with such excitement. That's the picture. And he says, creation itself is doing these things that people know what that looks like, and he's applying it to creation. Creation waits on the edge of its seat with an eagerness for the revealing of the sons of God. Okay, hold on, whoa. I thought the verses before said that we are the sons of God. What do you mean we're waiting to be revealed as the sons of God? Well, you know yourself, I'm sure you understand, that we live in a tension between the now and the not yet. And both are true, and the New Testament uses this language continually. We have a now, for example, that we are sons of God, but there's a not yet, because we've not yet received our inheritance and the full inheritance of being a son of God. We have a now that we've been set free from the power of sin, but there's a not yet, because we've not yet been delivered from the presence of sin. There's a now that we've been raised with Christ. We have new life in Him, but there's a not yet, that we haven't actually been raised bodily and given glorified bodies and been raised with Christ in glory. There's a now and a not yet. And this is the way that our Christianity is lived out. In the now, but knowing that it isn't actually fulfilled. And so he's using that idea that creation is sitting on the edge of its seat waiting for that final day when finally what are the sons of God will fully be revealed as sons of God. We live between the now and the not yet. Creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. Beloved, 1 John 3:2, I'm sure you know this verse. Beloved, we are God's children now, and what we shall be has not yet appeared. But we know that when He appears, we shall be like Him, because we shall see Him as He is. We're now, but there's a not yet. And this is the tension that we live in, and this is the language that he's using. You recognize that all this has happened. It's all true. It's all taken place, but there's still a fulfillment of the things that have been promised. Creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, but because of Him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. Creation was subjected to futility. I don't think there's anything to me, in my little simple mind, that is more naturally evident than that truth. Tell me that outside of God, you will ever find meaning in this world. That there's anything that actually means anything. In a totally humanistic perspective, the universe is expanding to a point that they think it's going to shrink back on itself. I'm not talking that God could intervene. Talked about this before, you know yourself. The sun is getting smaller. It's burning up. It only has so much energy. There will come a day, unless God intervenes, which I believe he will, the sun will burn up. The universe will go cold. It will be completely dead. And you tell me, what does anything mean? Why are you here? There is no intrinsic meaning in this universe. And all of creation has been a subject now to the futility of its own existence. This is the very idea that's been captured in Ecclesiastes, the opening verse. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. There's no more clearer words in Scripture and plainer idea than this. There's nothing outside of God, unless he intervenes, unless he gives you purpose and meaning, there isn't one. Intrinsically, creation has been subjected to futility. It's like the story of Sisyphus. The Greek myth, Sisyphus, he pushes the boulder up the hill, gets to the top, he lets it roll back to the bottom, so he goes back to the bottom and he pushes it back to the top. He lets it roll back to the bottom. He does this for eternity. And then he has a sissy fit. That's how he got his name, I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, this is the picture of the thing. That there's this constant turning of where are we going, and it's the same thing over again. That's why the opening verses of Ecclesiastes read this way. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes, a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises, the sun goes down, hastens to the place where it rises, the wind blows to the south, goes around to the north, round and around goes the wind, and on its circuit the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again. Here comes the wind. Where's it going? I don't know. Here it comes again. Here comes the sun. What's going to happen tomorrow? Here's going to come again. And there's this cycle in creation that points out to us there's this ongoing, continual churning, one generation to the next, and it's not going anywhere. And what is the point of it? Unless God intervenes, unless God breaks in. And that's why, of course, Christ is so important to us. I'll just tell you a little story. This verse reminds me of this. When I was a child, the first time I was about 5 years old, we went going family journey to see Niagara Falls. And I didn't say anything out loud, but in myself, I was quite anxious to get there because I was concerned that the falls would run out of water. Because, I mean, how long have they been running? And, I mean, are they still actually going to be running when we get there? It might be today. How could they possibly still, after how many hundreds or thousands, or how long has that river been running in the falls? But when is it going to stop? It has to run out. I mean, I pull the plug out of my bathtub. It only lasts for so long. And, I mean, there has to be an end. There's no end. There's no end. Where does the river go? It goes over Niagara Falls. It goes out to the ocean, I suppose, and then into the Mississippi, down and blah, blah, blah. And where does it go? I don't know. It comes back, and it never stops. That's the principle. There's a futility. There's an emptiness. There's a pointlessness. There's a sense that creation itself has been subject to this notion that is absolutely in bondage to corruption. It's in bondage to corruption. Something happened at the fall that we don't fully grasp. We don't have all the information of how the universe shifted its gears. But when sin came into the created order, it didn't just fall and create a corruption in the heart of every human being. It happened that all of creation was corrupted. And all of creation fell. And something happened at the fall. And we read something of this. Genesis 3, verse 17 to 19. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. And you shall eat the plants of the field, but by the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Something happened. Now there's such a thing as thorns and thistles and weeds, and now we struggle to plant things, and now I know nothing about gardening. I just go to the grocery store, but I understand that there's a challenge involved. We have to have pesticides and all the like because of why? The fall. And all of creation has fallen, and there's a corruption that entered in. And now we have this thing called the second law of thermodynamics. the principle of entropy. Everything moves towards decay. You have batteries on your shelf. They're not more powerful today than they were yesterday. Somehow, some way, energy is eking out of every battery without you doing anything. You cannot stop it. Energy moves from order to disorder. There's no such thing as a rust factory. Nobody goes around producing rust, but it exists. Why does it exist? It's an aberration. It's a corruption. It is the result of the fall. Something has happened that all of creation now moves from perfection to imperfection naturally. And it's moving towards decay. And it's moving towards disintegration. This is not what God designed. This is not what he intended. But now all of it has been changed. All of it's been corrupt. Sin has ruined the entire universe, including the creation known as man. And our hearts need to be redeemed. And our hearts need to be changed by Christ himself. And he's done so. All who have repented of their sin, he's changed us. But creation hasn't been changed. Creation is still corrupt. Creation is still fallen. And it groans. We know that the whole of creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth. Creation is sitting on the edge of its seat. Here's the picture. Waiting for the revealing of the sons of God. For finally, personifying nature, it's not actually thinking this, nature finally is going to receive what it gets. Finally, it's going to be corrected. Finally, if you're going to be perfected and you're going to be made a son, finally creation saying, finally we will get what was coming to us. Finally, we're going to be fixed and everything's going to be right. The glory to come outweighs all the suffering that we experience now. It's together in the pains of childbirth. He uses an illustration that 50% of the population don't really grasp, but he goes for it. I've only physically witnessed childbirth with my eyes. Clearly never experienced childbirth. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about it. All I can say is it is an act that brings somebody to the brink of death and then doesn't let them die. That's just my take on it. And in fact, at the end of that moment, there's life. That's such a great picture. The pains of childbirth, the struggle and the angst and the feeling that this is the worst possible place to be in the most worst possible moment. And then all at once, life. That's the picture. And that's what he's pointing out here. There's coming a day when something is going to change. We know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. Not only creation, but we ourselves, who had the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. Don't we groan inwardly? I mean, some of you groaned physically when you got out of bed this morning. That's just a natural thing of the decay of your body. But you groan in the sense that, don't you feel the weight of, Lord Jesus, come? I mean, how wackadoodle can this world get? How much more crazy can we cope with? How much farther can it go down whatever road it goes down? Why are we tolerating this? Why is this happening to us? Why do we experience this? Why am I in the middle of living in a world that I feel absolutely foreign to, that I cannot relate to, except to God's people? Why are we here? We're waiting with eager expectation. There's coming a day when finally, once and for all, everything will be made right. And we groan inwardly, though we have the first fruits of the Spirit. What does that mean? We have the first fruits of the Spirit. What does that mean? He's borrowing an Old Testament concept. When the harvest came in, they would bring first fruits as a sacrifice. With the first crops that would come up, they would yield them, and they had the option. They were to do this, but if they thought, well, this might be all I'm going to get, so maybe we should just save this and make our wheat and have some cereal tomorrow, and maybe this is all that's going to come. Or do what the Old Testament says, and by faith, take the first fruits and bring it as an offering to the Lord and say, thank you that the harvest is coming, that this is a sign of something that's yet to come, that the first fruits are an indication that an entire harvest is about to appear. The Spirit of God given to us is the first fruits. It's an inkling. It's a down payment. We live in the tension between the now and the not yet. But the not yet has shown itself to us. We have the Spirit of God. We have the resurrection of Christ. We have evidence to recognize that something is coming. Isaiah 65. Behold, I create new heavens and a new earth. The former things shall not be remembered or come to mind. A new heaven and a new earth. Now I recognize and acknowledge, and you probably have already figured this out, that we talked about this. It's just interesting how subjects overlap themselves. In September, we did a series on final things and talked about heaven and came to this discussion, and here we are again this morning. Let me remind you of the text in Revelation 21. I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away. There's coming a day when heaven will come to earth. We talked about this. I won't go into it in depth, but you understand and recognize, I'm sure, that heaven is not an ethereal, intangible sort of something out there. Heaven is here. One day, when all of creation is finally recreated and made perfect the way that God intended. And you'll be resurrected in a physical body. You will live on a physical earth that will be perfected in every way, and creation is longing for that day. We have this hope. In this hope, we're saved. Now, hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Hope in the New Testament is not let's just hope that happens. We've talked about this before. Hope is a solid thing. Hope is a sure thing. We have a hope. We have a foundation. We have this belief, this knowledge. The Spirit of God has resurrected me from the dead. The Spirit of God lives in me. I have evidence of that Jesus is in me in some way. My life has been changed. I see that. I've been made a son of God. I now suffer as a result of that. But this is just indication of just be patient. Just hold on. I mean, life is hard, but it's not going to be able to weigh the difference between the suffering that we know now and the things to come. Even creation itself is waiting for a day. I mean, you think you're waiting for the day? Creation is fallen. Creation is corrupted, and it wants to be changed. And it is coming, waiting for the day when all of it will be made new, and everything will be made right, and the glory will be so great that we will stand back and say, well, that was easy. I mean, I thought it was hard waiting and getting through life and suffering on. No. There's coming a day when through Christ, he died for sins, but he also died to if you want to say, he died for the whole universe. He died so that the whole universe could be made right. And in that sense is what we're waiting for. I'll just read the whole text to you again, and then we'll be done. The creation was subjected to futility. Oh, that is not the verse. Here it is. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the sons of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not willingly, because of him who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to corruption and obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only creation, but we ourselves, we who have the first fruits of the Spirit, we groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope. Who hopes for what he sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. This is Romans 8. Let's pray. Father, thank you for the opportunity just to spend time considering this text and be reminded of the glory that is yet to be revealed in us through the glory to come because of the resurrected Christ and because of our salvation. We ask you would help us to live on this hope, to hold on to this hope, and to find comfort in knowing that though we suffer now, there is glory yet to come that will far outweigh it. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.